Umpire Mag feed, and I can't wait to go across the pond to listen to Across the Pod, fresh out of Wales. Special stuff. Cheers.
Hello everyone, Andy here, and here's what you can look forward to in today's episode.
In today's episode, I was joined by Aaron Fletcher for Team Season Preview 1 out of 32 as we look ahead to the 2026 Detroit Lions season. Fletch discusses his concerns about the Lions secondary.
We can't rely on this rotation of third stringers coming in at corner. We just can't, especially, again, we're in 2 crunch games right at the end of the season.
I ask Fletch about the offensive line concerns.
From a team that's already struggled to protect their quarterback, to then lose their senior figures, that's got to be a concern, right, going into this year?
And much more as Fletch gives his overall record prediction in our win, loss or tie segment. Hope you all enjoy.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the Across the Pod NFL podcast. I am as ever your host today, Andy Davis, and we are bringing it back. Once again, we are doing the season previews and a season preview episode for every team with a fan of every team. This is team 1 out of 32, and despite what I'm wearing, it's not the Dolphins. In today's season preview, our first team, as you can see from the title of the episode, is the Detroit Lions. And of course, if I'm going to talk Lions on this show, there's only one man that I can bring on for this episode. Back on the show today is a returning guest, a fan favourite. It is Asleep at Work's Aaron Fletcher, otherwise known as Fletch. Fletch, it is great to have you on for episode 1.
It's great to be on. That is quite the setup. A fan favourite. I'm going to have to pull you on that one later. I'm not sure that's true. But, and to find out I'm starting this whole series off is quite the challenge. Honoured to be back on, though. And it's always great to be on with you.
Yeah, it is always good to have you on. It is always good talking Lions because you are the most passionate Lions fan that I know in the UK. There are a few, but you are the guy that I think of most when I think of the Lions. And yeah, we are looking forward to doing this season previews again. Some of our returning guests will not be returning in some of the other teams, so we will be getting some new guests to come on to different teams. And you'll find out who they are later on in the series. But today's episode is all about the Detroit Lions. Now, let's go in to some ins and outs of the Lions offseason. But before we do any of that, this episode is sponsored by FantasyGameDay.app. Use code Andy5 at checkout for money back off your first paid lineup. Now, talking Lions, talking ins and outs, there are some ins which include the likes of Juice Scruggs, Larry Borum, Cade Mays, Isaiah Pacheco, Tyler Conklin, Roger McCreary, Damon Clark, Greg Dortch, Peyton Turner, Teddy Bridgewater, Christian Isian, Ben Botch, Chuck Clark, Joe Bacci, Jay Tufele, Tariq Black, Lucky Johnson, Tay Martin, and Lawrence Keys. And in the draft, you took Blake Miller, 17th overall, one of 7 players that the Lions took in 2026 draft. You also took edge Derek Moore, 44th overall, and Jimmy Rolder, the linebacker from Michigan, 118th overall. In terms of outs, you traded away David Montgomery to the Houston Texans and saw the likes of Graham Glasgow, Taylor Decker, Josh Pascal, Kyrie Duplessis, and Terrion Arnold leave. Fletch, for you, overall take on the offseason for your Lions, what are your thoughts on it?
It's been an interesting one. We're no strangers to the being a good every roster will go through a good chunk of off-season moves. It's not, there is no one who tends to put out the same roster year on year. Excuse me. And I think if we go to the draft first, I really like the draft that we had. I think we addressed needs we definitely addressed needs that we had. And I remember coming onto this podcast, and I think I mentioned certain needs that the Lions may have had that I would have liked to have seen them gone, particularly on the offensive line. That's what we take with our first round pick. As a college football fan, and namely a Michigan fan, very glad that we took 2 Michigan men. That was a personal highlight of the draft as well for me, and I really enjoyed. I think we absolutely covered we covered some of the positions that I really wanted us to cover and start to shore up. As far as bringing players in on through free agency and through particularly through free agency, again, we addressed needs, we addressed things that we needed to address. I think there were no major splashes. The Lions are not big free agency splashes, but but I'm impressed with a lot of the additions that they have made. Obviously, the main one, being Cade Mays. I really like the addition of Cade Mays at centre. I'm sure we'll get into that a little bit later on as to why. But I do think it's been a good off season, and unfortunately, though, out of all of it, it's all been kind of overshadowed by one of the releases. Why one of those releases has happened. And yeah, I'd say so. Overall good, but there's been an unfortunate overlining reason as to why someone was released.
Yeah, it's a shame because I mentioned his name before in Terrion Arnold, a guy that I believe I might have whacked a call on this season preview. The year whether it was 2025, 2024, I can't think what year he was drafted. 2024.
2024, yeah, because that was the one. It was in Detroit, and the clip of him taking the mic off the reporter on stage and addressing the Detroit crowd.
Oh yeah, that rings a bell now. But I remember watching his tape and thought there's always guys every year that you sort of fall in love with, particularly as someone myself who doesn't watch college football in the actual season as much as you do, South, and certainly other college football fans. You sort of are watching these highlights, watching these montages, not knowing what you're going to see a lot of the time, and then you go out and watch his tape. And I'm pretty sure he was doing kick returns or punt returns, scoring touchdowns from there. Really exciting prospect, but then had a sort of a mixed time. Didn't really set the world alight. There was a few issues going on in his rookie year. But then what's happened this off-season is he's been arrested and since charged with kidnapping and robbery, and he was not long after that released by the Lions. And yeah, it's a shame. Obviously, it's a horrific circumstance, and obviously, should it be all, should be what he's been charged for, be what he's been charged for, and it's not, and it's all happened, then quite rightly, it brings an end to his time probably in the NFL. Which is a shame, but if it is what it is, then it's the right decision as well. So yeah, it's gonna really have an impact on what was already a problem position in the secondary, and that's one thing I wanted to talk to you about was the secondary we had for the Lions. I mean, I'm just getting up now the stats I found that in terms of the rankings we had last season when it comes to defense. I mean, looking at pass defense in 2025, it was actually better than it has been the last few years, but only 20th, so still 20th in 2025. This is compared to being 30th in 2024, 27th in 2023, and 30th in 2022. I mean, this is a defense that has always struggled against the pass, and then even though last year saw an improvement, we still, it still struggled at times. Played somewhat a part in this team going from number one seed in the NFC one year to not even making the playoffs the following year. So yeah, in terms of that, you talk about the ins and outs and the players you brought in. Do you think the Lions have done enough to fix these issues that they have at the secondary and have had for a number of years?
No, but also I think you're banking on, as you go into the off season, you're banking on Terrion Arnold having a breakout third year. Obviously, you've mentioned the fact that he struggled year one and had some struggles there. We kind of put that down to a lot of it being it's tough to come into the league as a rookie cornerback, especially one who was drafted as high as he was, a first round corner especially. It's tough, and you kind of expected to start day one and be a true impact on the field, and he maybe wasn't. Or maybe where he did have his impact, a lot of it was in holding calls and flags and things like that. And look, that happens. He was a handsy he was a handsy cornerback. He is a handsy cornerback. Sorry, he's not passed away. And just those are the kind of things that we've had to deal with. And you saw him get better last year. He was a bit better. But we were still kind of waiting for that moment where we really went, wow, Terrion Arnold is a true first-round pick cornerback. That was a great pick. And I think while, yes, we could have probably done more to shore up, particularly as far as depth goes in the corner room, since that's been a huge problem, not just with the talent that's been on the field per se, but with just the depth and the consistency of injuries that we've had, especially on defense. So I think we could have definitely done more with that. But also, as far as the quality goes, you're looking at in the off season, okay, Terrion Arnold's going to have a great year. We're hopefully going to absolutely smash it with him taking a huge leap in the NFL. And well, now that's kind of that's not going to happen with us anymore. But brought in Roger McCreary from the Rams. I don't think he's meant to be a true day one starter. He's kind of going to be thrown into the Wolves a little bit there, former second round pick. So you would expect him to have an impact. We've got Enick Rakestraw in the building, and we think we've barely seen anything from him yet, which would be really nice. But as far as what we brought in from DBs, we've kind of really just brought in Roger McCreary, and we've got Chuck Clark, the safety. And obviously Keith Abney from Arizona State we got in the draft in round 5, so you're not necessarily again expecting a day one starter. So as far as so far goes, with Terrion Arnold, maybe we did do enough. Without Terrion Arnold, we need to do more, and there needs to be more starter caliber players in that DB room.
Yeah, I think you're looking at the division that you're in. I mean, you've got some great weapons there, and obviously we all know what Justin Jefferson can do. You've got to play him twice a year. You know, Jordan Addison, TJ Hockenson on the Vikings, Kyler Murray's scrambling ability. We all know what he can do on his day and how good he can be. Think about obviously the escapability of Caleb Williams and the throw into Luther Burden. Obviously no longer DJ Moore, and then you've got Packers. They've lost a few receivers, but you think about even just the quarterbacks they've got to face twice a year. Kyler Murray, Caleb Williams, Jordan Love. There's three teams there with good offenses, and I think that for me, you finish fourth, you've got an easier schedule, that will help. And there's a bit of uncertainty around the Vikings quarterback situation, the loss of receivers in Green Bay. Can the Bears do it again? A lot of comeback wins. Is that sustainable? So, with the way it's gone, they'll be a contender. And I think they are a strong contender to win the NFC North. Yeah. But they're going to have to be at their best if you're going to stop those three. And not even just looking at the division. You've got, Drake May to AJ Brown at the Patriots. You've got to play, Baker Mayfield. You've got to play Bryce Young, and you've got to play Tyler Shutt. You've got to play Josh Allen. You've got to play. You got a few. You got the Giants. Jackson Dart. There's some good teams this year, and there's like the NFL's got a lot of good quarterbacks at the moment. So I think whichever schedule you're looking at, it's going to be some tough games. So this defense is going to have to step up, because we can't afford to. If they were to repeat what they did in 2024, they can't let that be an issue again. They cannot let what was probably the cause of their exit early on in the playoffs when they got the number 1 seed. They can't let that once again be an issue. If you're going to try and make the most of this kind of window you've been in, maybe it's closed a little bit, but it can come back this year as well. You've got to. That secondary has to be, firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing that always worries me is, as I look at the end of our schedule, and we're at Chicago and at Green Bay for the last 2 weeks in January. Oh boy, those games are gonna be cold. I love Goff, and I love my Cali boy. But he plays in an indoor stadium, or he's been playing in LA his whole life, and in California. So those cold weather games right at the end of the year, if the division's tight, if it's still close, I'm not going to be too confident going on the road to Chicago and then on the road to Green Bay in that period. So I think not only is that going to be the case, we're definitely going to have a much more shored up secondary, but we're also going to have to try and get as many of those wins in as early as possible to make those last couple of games much less unbearable and much less of a struggle against two teams who will be right up for the elements. So, but yeah, it's still a tough schedule. I know we get a freebie against the Dolphins. I'm joking.
You probably do.
But it's a tough division. It's the black and blue division for a reason. We can talk Vikings and question marks around the Vikings all we want. What we do know is that the division, no matter how many question marks you have around the teams, when those division games come around, they're a contest. Very rarely a blowout, very rarely a big win. It's a contest and it's a fight for every single ball. So it's still going to be tough. It's going to be a big season. It's going to be a long season, and we can't rely on this rotation of third stringers coming in at corner. We just can't, especially if, again, we're in two crunch games right at the end of the season on the road in the cold.
Yeah, I mean, even going further than just that, you've got the Giants in week 16. I mean, I've been in New York that time of year, and it's so cold. It's so cold. Actually, it's in Detroit, so ignore
So we're home in the dome.
Yeah,
so we should be okay there.
And also you've got the Vikings, but they're in the dome. So yeah, no, I was thinking about the Titans as well, because that's cold that time of year. But again, that's at home, so ignore me on that one. But it's going to be tough for Goff, and I think for Goff as well. I mean, the offensive line has to be a concern going into this year, because Goff was only 7 quarterbacks were sacked more times than Jared Goff in 2025, 38 times in the 2025 season. And you think about further than that, obviously lost Frank Ragnow last offseason to retirement. You've lost Dan Skipper this offseason to retirement. And you've lost Graham Glasgow and Taylor Decker as well. I mean, you've got in, Blake Miller in the first round, we mentioned it before, out of Clemson, 17th overall, the tackle. But like with any draft, you just don't know what you're going to get. You don't know what player you're going to get when you come into the pros. So that, from a team that's already struggled to protect their quarterback, to then lose their senior figures, that's got to be a concern, right, going into this year? I think that... well, Fletch was here. We don't know where he's gone.
There we go. I'm about
there
now.
He is.
Apologies, my internet just had a dip. A bit frustrating. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, and I heard that dip, which is a bit like the Lions season last year.
Do you know what? No, it's fine. I took a shot at the Dolphins. It's fine. You have one back, and it's your pod. You can kind of do what you want. But to answer your question there about the offensive line, it is absolutely a worrying. I was no stranger last year to, if you asked me what I think the main reason was for the Lions' struggles, it was the offensive line. And I'm not saying that's the reason why we didn't simply win the division, but it's why we didn't get into the playoffs, and it made a massive difference. Because if you still look at Jared Goff's stats throughout last season, 4,564 yards, 34 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. I did have his passer rating up, but I can't find. The passer rating of 105.5, which is a bit of a dip on his 111.8 the year before when we went 15-2. Those statistics are of a top quarterback still. It's definitely still of a top quarterback. So the fact that you can put up those kind of numbers and just about have a winning season and not make the playoffs is something that's concerning. So obviously adding Cade Mays, really helpful. And I really, really like that addition, because you really do need to shore up the center position. Was probably the worst of the lot last season. Taylor Decker was definitely on his way. Got to have been on his way out, and he was struggling last year. Gutted to see him go, but it had to be done. So with Penei Sewell, Blake Miller in for the left-hand side for the left tackle position, or maybe even moving Penny Sewell over to the left tackle, putting Blake Miller in at right. It should shore it up a little bit more with some of the pieces that we have got over the last couple of years, like Christian Mahogany, etc. Hopefully starting to come into their own on that offensive line. Just to kind of finish my point, we've shored up the tackle position, we've shored up the centre position, get some of the better stuff going in at the guards. It's definitely an improvement, but yet to be seen whether that improvement will translate to the field.
That's the thing. And to be honest, Neil, we did a quarterback ranking episode, ranking every starting quarterback, as we do every year, me and Sam Moores. And I think I may have put Jared Goff a bit lower down, because when you put it like that, the stats he put up, despite the offensive line issues, and they still had a winning season, maybe I was harsh on Goff. I've never been his biggest fan. I've always thought you ask him in a big game to perform, he doesn't do it. But then when you put the context of that, the fact they had a poor season, didn't make the playoffs, 9 wins, still winning season, and yet he still put up what I'm assuming is the top 5 in the league that season, passing yards wise, and single-digit interceptions. Maybe he wasn't the reason why they lost games, but either way, it's going to be an interesting season. I think a very wide open NFC North.
Yeah. I think it's a big year for him, because he does need to showcase with this offensive line that he can get it done. We have the weapons to do it. The offense is largely unchanged apart from the offensive line. He's still got those same weapons, and hopefully Isaac Tesla has an even better second year than he had at first year. And for where he was drafted in the position he had a great first year as well. So with the continued improvement and a better offensive coordinator, fingers crossed, everything hoping that's a better offensive coordinator. We'll see.
Yeah, fair. A season of change potentially, but one thing we aren't changing is the next section, which is the well-known section to these season previews. It's win, loss, or tie. So, win, loss, or tie, we're bringing it back once again to these season previews. And like we did last year, we had Fletch on, and we did once again do that with him last year. Now, the Lions went 9-8 in 2025. Now, Fletch, can you remember by chance what your prediction was 12 months ago?
12-5.
Yeah, 12-5. So, looking at this, there was only 4 teams that had more optimistic fans than yourself. There was the Bills, there was the Philadelphia Eagles, the Bills being Charlie Nelson and David Caproche, the Eagles being Steve McGuinness. We also had Brad Simcox and David Figgins, who predicted 13-4 for their Chiefs. And then we had the 49ers fans, Paul Hope and Ollie Hope, predicting, Ollie predicted 13-4, Paul predicted 14-3. So yeah, you're optimistic, and as you should have been. You were NFC number 1 seed at that point, or reigning number 1 seed. You're reigning NFC North champions. A lot of people, I thought you were going to make the Super Bowl. I thought you were going to reach it and lose to the Chiefs. Turns out neither team made the playoffs. But no, on to a new season. You're hoping at this time round you have a better prediction going into that season. So the Lions will kick off their season in week 1 at home on September 13th to the New Orleans Saints. For the first time this off-season, Fletch, win, lose, or tie.
Yeah, one fun fact about this game, for those of you who don't know, Mrs. Fletch features a lot in in the podcast we do at the AAW network. Mrs. Fletch is someone whom I talk about always lovingly on social media. Mrs. Fletch is, she's not listening to me at the moment. She's sat over there with the headphones on, so I can kind of say what I want. But I adore my wife. However, she is a Saints fan, and we get to kick the season off at home to the Saints. So one thing I am really, really looking forward to is not the game per se. It's being able to glow in my wife's face. I have no doubts that we're not only gonna win this game, but I think we'll win this game comfortably. And I look forward to appearing on this podcast at some point in the season while the divorce proceedings are happening. And having a lot of fun with it and being absolutely okay with what I've said. No, I think it'll be a closer game. I'm really excited to see Tyler Shook and his progression, and he looked fantastic last season. But yeah, I'm 100% putting this down to a Lions win, and I'm not letting my wife have this one.
I will love it, right? Especially week 1, where it's a bit of an anomaly in terms of results. If they go out and beat you, that I would love to be a fly on the wall when that happens.
All I know is that's getting clipped, and you're gonna save it. I know what you're gonna do. You're gonna save the clip for the 14th of September, and if the Saints beat the Lions, that's when you're gonna post a clip of my cockiness and arrogance. And do you know what? Andy? I'd do the same. You do it, mate.
And I think fitting in with the theme of Detroit Lions and Michigan, and I think I'd have to put some sort of version of "Stand" by Eminem and Dido on the montage. But no, great start and great to have. I don't think I know how long she's been a Saints fan for, but have you played the Saints since she became a Saints fan?
Couple times. So she became a Saints fan a few months after we started dating, similar to I think you and your missus in that. I don't know if she was particularly a fan or knew much of the sport beforehand. I'm not aware of that, but Mrs. Fletch knew about American football, knew what American football was before we started dating, but never met someone who liked it. And then unfortunately found like someone who liked it as much as I do. And she kind of had to choose a team at the time. So we were watching, I think we started dating in the June. I was watching it with her in the September because she was over here, and I said, yeah, listen, you've got no say in this whatsoever. I'm putting the NFL on. And she chose the Saints there and then. So I'd say 2018, since 2018, she's been a fan. She's not an avid follower, an avid watcher. A favourite player of all time is Alvin Kamara, which solid shout. I can't even hate that shout. Drew Brees exists, though, right? We are aware that Drew Brees exists. It's got to, but no, Alvin Kamara's the favourite, and I'm not going to go against that. But yeah, so we have played each other a couple of times. I believe it's twice in our whole entire relationship. I believe it's twice, and the score is 1-1. We are tied in the series, but I do need to double check.
Whilst you're doing that, what made her pick Saints? Well, first of all, shout out to Mrs. Fletch. If you are listening to this podcast, what made her Saints?
Always wanted to go to New Orleans.
Fair?
Always wanted to go to New Orleans. And I literally said, because she was asking me how I picked my team, and I said, obviously I gave the reasons for following the Lions. And I was like, well, where's some... She didn't really have that. She didn't have M&M or anything like that she could go off. So, well, where's one place you'd love to go on holiday one day? And I think she'd just got back from Orlando.
Okay.
Thinking she might go towards Dolphins. Nope. So the one place that was always her bucket list item was New Orleans and doing the French Quarter and all that sort of stuff. So I was like, well, two birds, one stone. You get to go see your NFL team and at the same time go see the French Quarter and go do all of that. So that was, I think, the reasoning behind the Saints. And I was right. We played each other twice. So we got together in 2018. We just played each other the year before. Excuse me. First time was the COVID year. In the October of the COVID year, and the Saints beat the Lions in a narrow game, and then 3 years after that, the Lions won. So 1-0, series is tied.
I mean, I did a video years ago on this about reasons you shouldn't, or reasons to choose or not choose a team. And I always think location is so key because. Yeah. Whilst I'm aware that not everyone has the ability to go and travel and go out to games, if you have that ability to go out and watch a team play and go to America, if you don't like the place your team plays in, I don't think you're going to personally want to go as much. Apologies, by the way, my washing machine is currently on, so if you hear any rattling in the background, that is why. But no, I would think if you're going to go and watch a team play, I think if you support them, you have to like where the team plays. I don't think that's obviously you can watch a team, you can go to their road games and do it that way. But I think I for a while was a bit worried because I went to Miami for the first time and didn't really enjoy it. But when I went back second time, went with my girlfriend, absolutely loved it, and that's kind of made me think, okay, I'm glad I picked the team I did. But I did worry for a little bit that I picked the wrong team because I went there once and didn't really enjoy the Miami part. I enjoyed the Florida Keys and Orlando and all that, but I never really enjoyed Miami itself. But when I went back there, did more stuff, I found it much more enjoyable. But don't know whether I mentioned it before, but my girlfriend is a Chargers fan, purely because she did her elective as part of her medical degree, and it took her to LA, and she got to spend a week working with the Chargers team and the Chargers medical team. So that was kind of when she met me, and when I started watching it with her. She's only really one team in mind. I mean, she likes the Cowboys because of the cheerleaders. She likes the Dolphins because of me. She likes the Giants because she loves New York. But for her, it'll always be the Chargers, and she wants to actually buy a Chargers jersey and buy a Rivers jersey because that's the one player she remembers seeing in the flesh was Philip Rivers. Yeah. That is her story, quite a unique story. And her dad has met John Elway and shaken his hand, so that's her dad's team. If he was going to get into it, did a tour. He played rugby in the 80s. Did a tour of Denver as part of a summer tour, and they one day went to the Broncos facility and. He met John Elway and shook his hand. So,
cool.
Quite a cool story. We'll move on now to week 2, as you are the first team to play at the new Highmark Stadium as you take on the Buffalo Bills. I think it's on Sunday Night Football, not Monday night. But either way, Fletch, win, lose, or tie.
Yeah, I mean, so, again, funny story about this one. After playing my wife's team, and obviously we beat my wife's team, okay, she's listening now. I'm in trouble for that one. But after we play, and it's the truth. After we play and beat my wife's team, we play on. It's against my little brother's team. He chose the Buffalo Bills a few years ago because of Josh Allen, I think, pretty much. And he quite likes the state of New York. So, and he always sits there and says, "Well, at least you play in the state of New York." So. We play my brother's team. So it's an all-family affair. No one's going to want me at Thanksgiving by that point, other than we don't do Thanksgiving here. No one's going to want me anyway, if we did. I can't see a win there, though. I'm not trying to nudge towards collusion. I'm not trying to nudge towards refs getting in the way or anything like that. Not outright explicitly saying any of that, but would you expect the Bills to lose at home in their first game in their brand new stadium? I wouldn't. And that's me more or less looking towards they're going to play to the new occasion. The crowd are going to be really up for it in the new stadium, which looks phenomenal, by the way. You've seen the kind of the photos and the videos of inside. It looks phenomenal. So yeah, I think I'm gonna mark down a loss there.
You know what? When I was kind of looking ahead to the schedule when they were going to release it, I've always had friends of the show, David Caproche, from Buffalo, season ticket holder. We always agreed when I went to a game there that I'd come back to the new stadium when the Dolphins played the Bills for the first time, and I was kind of looking and thinking, I hope it's not going to be a date I can do. But I'm also hoping it's not going to be that first home game they play because already as underdogs, even when we were good, we were underdogs against the Bills. But I think that extra added incentive of their first home game, new stadium, crowds up for it. I did not want the Bills at home to be their first home game to be against us. So I'm glad it's you guys and not us. That's all I'm saying. Sticking with the AFC East in week 3, we have got the New York Jets at Ford Field. Win, lose, or tie?
I consider this basically a bye week So I'm gonna go out on a limb here. Say my family reunions are my family unions are done, but we have an internal Lions family reunion as Dan Campbell goes back to see Aaron Glenn. Oh, so no, Aaron Glenn comes to us. We'll try that one again at home against the New York Jets. Yeah, I'm not counting anything other than a win in that one.
Okay, so in week 4, you are on the road to Bank of America Stadium as you take on the Carolina Panthers. Win, lose, or tie?
So this is an interesting one. The Carolina Panthers are a really fun team, and I obviously I think Keg, a friend of yours and a friend of mine as well. I love this Carolina Panthers team. I think they're fantastic. And what Dave Canales has done and his growth as a head coach has been phenomenal to see. Bryce Young's growth has been phenomenal to see. I think it's going to be a really, really close game. I think it's going to be a really, a genuinely very close game. On the road, I'm going to say the Lions still take it. Just given that we've had the slight. No, we wouldn't have had that by that point because that would be the Jets. We're coming in off technically a long week to the Jets. Also add into the fact that we're going to thump the Jets. I'm going to give it to the Lions. I'm going to say we're going to win it, but I'm going to say it's going to be close and will come down to final drive, who's got the ball last, who makes a massive play at some point late in the fourth quarter.
Fair. I think that this game has all the makings of a 47, 42, 38, 33. I think this could be one hell of a game. Week 5, we've got another road game, but this time you're heading to the desert as you take on the Arizona Cardinals.
You mentioned the Vikings having a quarterback problem. The Cardinals have a running back problem. Don't they have 73 on the roster at this point? I don't know how many they've got. They've got a lot. After drafting Jeremiah Love, bringing in Tyler Algier, they've got Trey Benson, they've got Bam Knight, they've got so many running backs in that running back room. I don't think they did enough this offseason. They've got a brand new head coach. I don't think they did enough this offseason. I don't think they pulled the moves in the right places where they probably should have done. I think they're going to be a genuinely not very good team. Probably they don't have a quarterback properly. Apart Jacoby Brissett, I like Jacoby Brissett, but I don't think he's enough to bring them over the line in many games. He might win them 3 or 4. Don't think much more than that. I think we'll have some problems against Trey McBride. And obviously, if Jeremiah Love does turn up, start playing, and automatically just becomes incredible, then what can you do? But I don't see this in any world, any universe, even in alternative universes, even on opposite day. I can't see the Lions losing this one or the Cardinals winning it. So give me the Lions to win. And again, I think this will be a nice, comfortable one for the most part.
I agree. I think they're going to be one of the worst teams in the league. And I think the fact that the team's being held out by Brissett is a worrying thing for a franchise.
Yeah.
If that kind of caliber of quarterback is holding you out for more money, bonkers to me, bonkers. Well, week 6 is your bye week, so week 7 is a home game for the first time since week 3. And this one is against the Green Bay Packers at Ford Field.
At home, after a bye, and likely a really, really good win before that bye, I'm going to give us the win. I'll take a win with, what are we, 5-1 by now? God, I feel like I'm really, really arrogant here. But 5-1 to start the season so far. I'll take a win there.
I've got down as 5-2. No, I've got down as 4-2, but it's only one loss, isn't it, so far? That's right, isn't it?
Yeah,
one
loss to the Bills.
Yeah, and then you beat the Panthers, beat the Cardinals, beat the Packers. Yeah, that is right. It's my dodgy maths coming into play here.
It's like I say, it could very easily be 4-2 with that Panthers game again. If one play just doesn't quite go right, if one thing just doesn't quite work, I do think we take the win there. But like I say, that could be easily 4-2, and I would not be overly mad at that point if it was 4-2.
That's fair. Week 8 is a game at home, this time against the Minnesota Vikings.
again, knowing that just the questions we have over the Vikings, my Michigan, my wonderful, my sweet Michigan Prince, JJ McCarthy. I don't think he'll be starting. Obviously, Bob probably won't be starting. I'm not scared of Carson Wentz, and I was a Kyler Murray homer for so long. I am finally starting to derail myself off that train. He always causes us problems when we play him. I don't know what it is. There's just something about Kyler Murray that causes problems. And he's now got a Jay Jettis to throw to. He's got a Jordan Addison to throw to. And he's got a Kevin O'Connell in his ear, which, as if anything recent to go by, that's quite the ear to be talking into. Quite the person to be getting talking your ear from. However, I don't think this is quite Sam Darnold, and I don't think this is quite even Daniel Jones. Give me the Lions to win in a Vikings year where they're struggling a lot. But again, it's close. It's going to be tough.
Well, week 9 is essentially a bye week if you take on the Miami Dolphins.
At Miami. All I'm going to say is I hope they enjoy the weekend in Miami. Just take some sun in while you're there. Maybe if you want to see some really, really good... If you're in Miami, you're traveling over for the game, you want to see top high quality level football, yeah, you could watch, and especially if you want to see it from Miami, the Miami Hurricanes will be playing that weekend, I think, so you probably want to see them. Give me the Lions. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say I think the Lions might take this one, but with the caveat of I think this is one of the games where it's a banana skin game, but also I've got this weird feeling that Malik Willis will be better than people give him credit for. He looked good for the Packers last year when he came in and stepped in for Jordan. Looked really, really, really good. You've got a head coach who believes in him, who wants him to start, who wants to back him. I think he'll be really good. So I think it'll be much better than last year for the Dolphins. Though I do think the Lions will take this one.
Yeah, I think we'll talk about it more when we do our Dolphins season preview. But for me, I think it's a hard one to gauge because it's a small sample size. It's much easier to come in as a backup than a starter. And also, I think he's in a much more stable franchise, better coaching, better players around him. So I have my reservations, but I love watching him in Green Bay. And if we can get the Green Bay version, not the Tennessee version of Malik Willis, then I think this could be actually all right. But even if he plays well, I still think our defense and lack of weapons is going to ultimately cost us in the season. Week 10, you're heading to Germany as you take on the New England Patriots at the Allianz Arena, most known for being the home of FC Bayern Munich. Now, Fletch, are you going to this game? I know you talked about it before. You were thinking of going. Are the flights booked yet?
Without giving up way too much about kind of the personal life and how the kind of the last 10 months have gone-ish, they are not booked yet. So it's been an odd few months. It's a lot of, it's way more money than I actually realised it was going to be. It's a lot of money to go to these kind of games. Holding out for, yes, hopefully going. I do believe a friend of mine in Detroit has a ticket that they're gonna try and hold off for me if I can get over. Although it's not your nice cheap ticket, it's a bit one of the bit more expensive ones. So hopefully, I mean, everything crossed, it's going to go that way, but we'll see. I have been offered a way to go there, but all I'm going to say is it would require me not to be a fan. And my number one thing is to be a fan at the game. I don't want to have to sit there and be nice and polite. I want to say some horrible things to Mike Vrabel. Things that I would probably regret after the Bears leave my system.
I think we'll leave it at that. But for this game, who wins it for you?
A part of me thinks that you can't lose in Germany with Amon-Ra St. Brown. You just can't do it. You need to win there. But I also think these Germany games, anything can happen. These international games, anything can happen. I think the Patriots take it in one of those. We'll have some really good offensive games. We'll have some really great offensive, well-schemed games. But that is a tough Patriots defense that has gotten better. That is a really tough game. Excuse me. These defenses like that, I feel like they travel well. And it's going to be one of those slugfests that ends up 17-15 or 16-13 that we just can't quite get over the line with. So I think the Patriots will take that one.
Interesting. Well, if you do go, then hopefully we'll get to meet up over some non-alcoholic German beer or some, some lovely cuisine. So hopefully I'll see you there. Week 11, a team who has played in Munich, Buccaneers. You host them in Ford Field in Week 11. Who wins this for you? Win, lose, or tie?
This is a tough game. This is one that I hate. I hate playing them every year. I love Baker Mayfield so much. I think he's fantastic. They're gonna it's going to be a tough game without Mike Evans. Does it feel a little bit easier? Maybe. But I also know just what a competitor and what just an absolute legend that Baker Mayfield is. I think we slip up a little bit here. Coming back from Germany, not being able to have a bye week, I think the Bucs get us here, and it's a couple of losses on the bounce.
Okay. Week 12, you're staying at home, and this time you're taking on the Chicago Bears.
Death taxes. The Lions beating the Bears.
Okay.
I know. Obviously, you've got the great friend of the show, Ben Isaacs, who was on the college football show that we have on the network a couple of weeks ago. I made sure in that episode, by the way, to get at least one shot in at the Bears. I needed to make sure that happened. I just think Master beats Apprentice every single time.
I will say this game looks like it's on Thanksgiving. Looking at dates, the Lions' record on Thanksgiving is not great. It's not a good record. I mean, they almost lost to the Bears a couple of years ago. If it wasn't for Matt Eberflus's horrendous officiating, that could have been all different. So I do think on Thanksgiving there's some sort of thing on the Lions a little bit, and they lost last year on Thanksgiving as well. The Lions don't seem to do well. Whether they're good or bad, the Thanksgiving always seems to trip up Detroit.
Yeah, it's one of those frustrating things where it's like we should be used to it by everybody else. We should be flipping used to it by now. No. I also think that this might be like this is one of the, in my opinion, tastiest Thanksgiving Day slates that we've had in a while. And we've actually had some good ones. Straight after that, you've got Eagles, Cowboys, and then after that, you've got Bills, Chiefs. Like, what a slate that is. Or on paper, what a slate that is for Thanksgiving. Yeah, absolutely right, though. It's a pain. Last year, I think we were having a bad year anyway, and the Packers knew what to do against. They had our number both times. But if there is one team we can say that we have beat this decade on Thanksgiving, it's the Bears. And for whatever reason you want to give, yes, that horrendous clock management that rightly got Eberflus fired. That is what it is. But close game, yeah. But again, Master beats Apprentice every single time. Not letting Ben Johnson have. I don't want Ben Johnson to have it. He can't have it. And then you've got a ticked off Lions who were looking to bounce back from 2 losses.
I mean, you mentioned Ben Isaacs. He came on the show. We did a top 10 episode of games to look forward to in 2026, and we talked about just how good the Thanksgiving slate is. And I think Bills Chiefs to top it off. The modern day Manning against Brady. I think that is that's a fantastic day. I can't wait already. We said it before, to be able to come home from work and it be on TV, incredible.
Yeah.
Now, week 13, you're going on the road to one of the stadiums used in the current World Cup, Mercedes-Benz Stadium, home of the Atlanta Falcons, as you take on the Falcons and potentially mild quarterback Tua Tagovailoa.
Yeah, Kevin Stefanski's got quite the collection of left-handed quarterbacks, hasn't he? At this moment in time, I'm interested to see what that team looks like under Stefanski. Before I make true judgment on them, I really want to see it. I like him. I like him as a head coach. I liked him at the Browns, but obviously, look, you can't keep. You pay for the franchise that you were coaching at the time. I guess Browns do what Browns do. That organization is clearly cursed. So I love my very, very wonderful friend Chapman, but give us a Lions win in this one. And what a stadium that is, though, for the Falcons have. We've got a slightly longer time to prepare because we're playing on the Thursday. I think we get them at their place because of their. I think, in all honesty, they could finish bottom of their division this year, and I would not be shocked.
Yeah.
But Bijan can also absolutely demolish you at any point if he wants, and so can Drake London, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Their offense, I think more looking at, we've got the Buccaneers, you've got the Falcons, you've got the Saints and Panthers. Right now, I'd probably take the Saints. And my pick to be last in the NFC South. That's my personal opinion. So I just think Bijan Robinson is too good and Drake London are too good to not be at least third in that division. I mean, also, whether he's back to best, I don't know, but two were in a dome, two were in indoor, no cold, no. I think if Tua does play, I think Michael Penix might have the edge still. But if Tua does play this year, him in a dome, I think, is going to be a lot better than we saw ever in Miami. I know we play in the sun, but that might mean nothing. But I do think Tua in a dome might actually be the best thing for him. But I think personally, there's not a lot. I think what he showed last year was a lot of problems, a lot of lost confidence, a lot of issues that have clearly been affected by the injuries. I don't think we'll see it, but he could be a contender for comeback player of the year if he does ball out. Then that could be it. Yeah. Week 14 is one of the stars of the new quarterback series. Cam Ward and his Tennessee Titans travel to your Lions in week 14. Win, lose, or tie.
Just quick double check. Is that out yet?
No, it's actually
out.
out.
Is it out yet?
I will say we're recording this on the 13th of July. This podcast will be out, I think, 21st or 22nd of July. It's out tomorrow at time of recording. So it's out, actually, tomorrow on the 14th of July on Netflix. So by the time this podcast is released, we'll be well into it and it'll be well and truly released on Netflix at that point.
I knew it was around this time and I was thinking, I have been bored all day looking for something to watch. While I kind of crack on with work here and I've got a screen there that's normally for sports and will normally be for sports. You need something to watch during the day. And I was like, if I've missed quarterback being out, luckily we haven't missed it. I'm okay. Now I know what I can do tomorrow while there's no sports on.
Well,
during the day.
I was going to say, because my plan would have been, when I thought about it then, I'll watch it tomorrow evening. Then I realised, oh wait, it's Spain against France. So that might have to be we are recording one podcast season preview on this Thursday. So I think maybe after I've finished recording that, girlfriend's doing night shift, so she won't be around. So that could be the perfect time to start watching it.
See, figured it out. You got it all figured out.
Yeah.
I won't spoil anything because I will get it in tomorrow. I will absolutely get it in tomorrow. So I won't spoil anything. As far as this game goes, though, I had one request for the Titans if they wanted to be good this year. And I don't mean great, I just mean good. And that was protect Cam Ward, look after Cam Ward. Don't try and unalive Cam Ward, and then they did that thing where that's exactly what they tried to do. They're trying to unalive him. I don't think they want to protect him. I don't think they particularly care about his health and well-being. They haven't watched the way tour went in Miami. They haven't watched the way some of these quarterbacks have gone, and instead have decided, well, let's go get Carnell Tate, the wide receiver from Ohio State, instead of getting, I don't know, a Francie Marinoa, or a Spencer Fano, etc., and protecting the quarterback. For this reason and this reason alone, I'm taking the Lions because I think Goff might get sacked a lot last season. I think Cam Ward's up here for getting sacked quite a lot this year. Through no fault of his own either. I just think I don't think they've reassured enough on the offensive line. Cam Ward's in trouble.
It feels, I don't think, it may not be exactly like Burrow and Chase, but it just reminds me a little bit of when the Bengals got Jamar Chase over Penei Sewell. Now, yeah. I don't think Tate's going to be Chase's level, but certainly you think about they've gone for the kind of the quarterback and receiver duo rather than protecting the quarterback. And yeah, I think there could be problems there. I just think even with getting Tate in, there's still a lot of holes in that roster. There's still a lot of problems. So for me, it's one where I do believe, that could be a problem for them this season. But I do think maybe 3 or 4 years' time, they can get an offensive lineman next year, then it might be fine. But for right now, I think for 2026, they're not going to be, I don't think, any great shakes.
Yeah, I think, look, on my laptop in front of me is the picture of the Indiana Jones and I don't know what it's called. I've never really watched Indiana Jones. I'm not going to lie. Exclusive on this podcast if you want to treat it like that. The gold thing in the tomb that he's staring at it and he's got to take it.
The Holy Grail.
I don't know. I don't know what it is. It's gold and Indiana Jones is staring at it and I know it's Indiana Jones. However, looking at that, it just reminds me of like, you get a gold, a really cool, really shiny thing, right? You've got 2 options. You got to put it on display and you're going to put it in front of all these people. You could buy the case first or you could buy the case second. And then when you get it, if you buy the case first, you get it, put it in the case, and then it's safe. If you buy the thing and then get the case when it arrives, well, then you've just got to hope that no one steals it or breaks it by the time it gets there. And this is why I always say with things like this, get the case or get the insurance or get the whatever analogy you want to use before you get the thing or like at the time of purchasing the thing, because it might be great next year you go get that offensive lineman, but when Cam Ward's toes can touch his inside of his ears because of the way his body's now bent, bit late for that.
Well, on that note, we'll move to week 15 as you face a road game against the Vikings.
Loss.
Okay.
I hate this game. I think it's going to be really, really, really frustrating. I think we'll have had a good run. But then I don't know, it'll be Christmas. It's after what happened last year, maybe a couple of injuries have crept up. I think we'll probably end up losing this one.
Right, okay. Well, this is week 16, your final home game of the season, of the regular season at least, and also your final game of the calendar year of 2026. You have a home game against the New York Giants.
I hate this game. I hated this game last year. It was way closer than it ever needed to be. And I would rather got less said about the person they had at quarterback at the time, the better. I do not like that individual, but Jackson Dart, just something about him that it's going to be really close and really, really, really tough. But again, I think we eke it out just. And I mean, like, they brought one of them games where they have the ball last. They're probably in the end zone. Oh, sorry, in the red zone. Down 4 points, need to score a touchdown, and you are holding your hands together. You are praying to every single god that you can think of that please no one come down with this ball, because it's a 38-35. Sorry, 38-34. I just said 4 points. So 38-34. It's a 41-37. Your defense can't catch a call. So your defense can't stop a single thing from going past them. You just hope that it's no one can come down with it.
Well, week 17 is the aforementioned last two games you mentioned before. One of them is a road game, Soldier Field against the Bears.
I did say before, the master doesn't lose to the apprentice, but it's going to be freezing cold. Possibly snowing. And it's a mid-afternoon game. I think the Bears might take this one. I think the apprentice gets one, but it's a free because it was in the snow and it doesn't really count, but it will count.
Well, week 18
doesn't really count.
Week 18 is always a bit of a tough game to call because you can never know who's going to play, who's resting players, all that. But a road game, Lambeau Field at the Packers. Fletch, for the final time this episode, win, lose or tie.
What's my record now so far? I can't remember off the top of my head. 12,
11-5 you've got at the moment.
11-5, right. I think the division's still left for the taking. I think the Packers might be even in for it. I think this might go down to get the division. And I think, I don't want to say it. Don't make me say it, please, Andy. I don't want to have to say this. I think the Packers take it.
Okay.
I think the Packers might do it. I'd go 11-6, still make the playoffs, but I feel dirty. And just go for a shower after that.
Well, if you get to the playoffs, how far are you predicting the team goes?
Weird one. Obviously I've watched the Lions playing playoff games on the road. Feels weird now. Well, maybe having to watch the Lions play a playoff game on the road that isn't a championship game. Given the lateness, I don't know. It's a weird one. I think if you go out in the wild card, an expectation has been set under Dan Campbell. When we've made the playoffs, we haven't gone out in a wild card. We haven't gone out in a wild card round. It's just not happened. Mainly because the first time round, obviously, we won the wild card game. The second time we weren't in the wild cards. We were straight into the divisional. I think you have to make the divisional. You have to. Otherwise, I'm not saying that losing in the divisional genuinely feels like a success. It shouldn't. But you have to. Going out on the wild card would feel like a real kicker. I'm going to say out in the divisional round.
Okay. I mean, it's a tough conference. I think if you were in the AFC, I'd back you to go a bit further. There's some good teams in that NFC. There really is. I
think we end up. The worst thing is knowing, or I say the worst thing. One of the worst things is knowing that one of those NFC West teams won't have a home playoff game. One of those NFC West teams, you are going to fall victim to wherever they may fall in the way the playoffs are seeded. And you're either going to have to go up against that Seattle team with one of the best defenses I think I've ever seen, run by Adam Derde, or you end up running into the LA Rams team where it's one of the best offenses, and then they've just had the past guys. There should be laws against things like this. You can't put Myles Garrett on a team like that. It's not allowed. And then they've just added Myles Garrett. You're going to have to face one of them, I think, in the divisional. Potentially the 49ers might be in there as well. It's horrible, and you just going to have to deal with that, really. So it's got to be one of the NFC West teams in the playoffs. In the Super Bowl, I'm calling that now. No one's getting past them.
My washing machine has finished, as has this episode. So, Fletch,
Let's go.
First season preview of the show, of the summer, of the off season. First of all, thank you for coming on. Thank you for coming on.
No, thank you for having. As is always the case, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. I apologise that my laptop today has just decided to reject my microphone on 2 or 3 occasions. I'm sorry. Hopefully, it still comes out okay, even if there are a couple of choppy bits. I'm sorry to anyone on at home has have to deal with it as well.
I'm sure it'll be absolutely fine. If it's not going to be that, it's going to be my washing machine that's going to cause an issue. So either way, it should be fine. It should be fine. I'll find ways around it. But otherwise, good having you on. And this is team 1 out of 32. So stay tuned. There'll be episodes coming on daily from now until the middle of August. A slightly earlier release date of these episodes this year, purely because I'm going to Australia at the end of next month, and I don't want to be worrying about editing when I'm out there. But I also want to get the season predictions episode out with a bit of time after the last season preview. So yeah, this will be out either 20th, 21st or 22nd of July. I've not decided yet, but either way, that's when it'll be released. So thank you for all who have stayed tuned into the end of the episode, whether you're a Lions fan or whether you're just an NFL fan in general. But in the meantime, this has been the Across the Pod NFL podcast, season preview 1 out of 32, with the Lions and Lions fan Fletch, and your host, as ever, Andy Davis. And we'll see you guys next time. Take care.